Canada isn't collapsing quietly, it's convulsing, bleeding out on the economic floor, while politicians argue over the color of the bandages.
1 in 4 people living in poverty in this country. Those numbers coming from Food Banks Canada. It found the poverty rate is actually higher.
You want out? Click the link. 100,000 Canadians just did. They saw the trap and dipped before the jaws snapped shut.
We talked about possibly leaving Canada because why should we stay here? Just be overtaxed, underserviced, healthcare sucks, education sucks.
Don't be the guy still rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. This isn't a warning, this is your evacuation notice. Chains on the plane, flames in the sky. No one's coming to save you and the exits are locking shut. The Canadian dream, not alive. It's in the morgue, covered in debt, waiting for someone to claim the body. You used to grind, save, build. Now you bleed, borrow, and beg. You don't live here anymore, you survive here. And for what? So your kid can afford a 400 square foot box in the sky with no parking, no equity, and no chance?
Just discovering now that high-rise construction in the GTA is going to zero?
Stop romanticizing a country that stopped caring about you a long time ago. This isn't about politics, this is about math. It's what happens when your cost of living triples, but your wages crawl like they're in a coma. It's what happens when every level of government takes more and gives back less. They inflated the dream until it popped, and now they're selling the scraps with a patriotic smile and a carbon tax receipt. I've lived in the Greater Golden Horseshoe since 2015. I've been in real estate since 2017. I've helped 500 plus families move, downsize, relocate, and survive. I've watched this place go from underpriced to overpriced to financial suicide.
Okay, well, I told you it was collapsing 14 months ago.
And the worst part, it's not even surprising people anymore. People are leaving not because they're scared, but because they finally opened up their spreadsheets. 107,000 Canadians gone last year. Thousands more halfway packed and millions still in denial. They're not asking, where should I move? They're asking, where can I live where I can still be a human being? You want to talk about collapse? It doesn't just happen overnight. It happens like this. Phase 1, it's just a blip. Phase 2, it'll bounce back. Phase 3, we're still up from 2019 prices. Phase 4, oh shit. We're sitting in phase 3.9, and most Canadians are still sipping Tim Hortons like it's 2006. But the coffee's cold and the dream is burnt. Let's talk about the housing plan. The government's grand strategy is build more condos that no one wants in locations where no one's buying for people who can't afford them. I've got listings that used to get 10 showings a day. Now, 10 days without a single call. Condos underwater, assignments dead, detached homes sitting longer than ever. I've got investors 100K deep in renos begging just to break even, and no one bites. This isn't a blip. It's not a slump. It's a structural rejection. Buyers are saying your price is a joke. Your product is trash. We'll wait. And sellers still living in 2021 fairy tales, still asking what they need, still ignoring what the market's screaming back. We don't care.
It could be sitting on the biggest housing bubble of all time. That's according to one strategist who's warning that once it bursts, Canada could be thrown into a deeper recession.
You know what attention is worth in this market? Everything. Lose attention, you bleed equity. Lose momentum, you die on the MLS. This isn't a seller's market, it's a bloodbath. And the last one to move bleeds out. Let me say this again even louder. Selling in the Greater Golden Horseshoe, you don't need an old man on a billboard. You're glued to your screen, and so is your buyer. They're not stuck in traffic, they're online. I'll get a video of your home on 100,000 of their screens in 14 days or less, guaranteed. Click the link, grab the free seller guide, or book a call. Now back to the pain. I went back to Halifax last month, the city I left in 2012. Used to be family barbecues and housewarmings. Now it's whispers, escape plans, people talking quiet in kitchens like they're planning a jailbreak. No one wants to say it out loud, so I'll say it for them. This is a slow, controlled demolition of Canada's productive class. The people who build, pay, and grind get taxed into poverty while the people in charge pretend the floor isn't already cracking. This is what happens when you punish productivity and subsidize incompetence, when you tax the builder and reward the bureaucrat. This is economic cannibalism in a red and white wrapper. And you still think it's about hope? It's not. It's about velocity. The velocity of your burn rate, the velocity of your debt, the velocity of this country's collapse. All happening in slow motion so you don't panic too early.
All right, boys, like the captain said, nice and cheery so there's no panic.
You're being boiled alive in red tape and interest payments. And every time you ask, is it just me? The news says, no worries. Things are stabilizing. Stabilizing at what? $9 strawberries, triple insurance premiums, and empty downtowns? This is stable like cancer in remission. Just because it stopped growing doesn't mean it isn't killing you. I've had more DMs from landlords this month than I've had in the last 3 years. Can I get out? Can I sell? Can I break even? My answer, probably not. But you can survive, but not if you wait. Because the longer you sit, the more equity you lose. And when the dam breaks, it won't be polite. It will be violent, fast, and final. You don't need to believe me. You just need to take a look around. Real estate is rejecting fantasy. Buyers are hunting weakness and sellers are clinging to 2021 prices. They're about to get wiped. This isn't a reset, it's a reckoning. And if you're still here, still hoping, still waiting, you're the frog. And the pot is already boiling. You think this ends with your property value? It ends with your passport. Because what we're watching isn't just a housing correction, it's a full-blown countrywide standard of living collapse, masquerading a tightening, not fixing it. They're packaging the pain in 3-year bond yields and giving you a smiley face forecast. Like that makes the water any less toxic. You're not paranoid, you're just early. And being early is the one thing that will save you. You want to know what a soft landing looks like? $10,000 property taxes on a semi-detached with 1996 windows and squirrels in the attic. Then a 5.5% mortgage renewal that chokes your disposable income like a boa constrictor in a Tim Hortons drive-thru. And after all that, your city turns around and tells you the plan is more densification, more luxury towers, and more taxes to fund more nothing. This isn't just unsustainable, this is hostile. The real Canadian export in 2025, escape plans. Go ahead and check your group chat. Ask around. Someone's already plotting, someone's already sold, and someone's Googling, do you need to speak Spanish to move to Panama? Because it's not about sunshine, it's not about politics, it's not about taxes, it's about breathing room. And that's the one thing you can't buy here. And let's talk about immigration, because the headlines are screaming, we need more housing, we need more inventory. No, what we need is a functional economic ladder, but they broke every rung and then blame the people trying to climb. You flood the population with 500,000 people a year, but you didn't build transit, you didn't build hospitals, you didn't fix the infrastructure, you just built condos. Condos with negative cash flow, $1,000 a month fees, drywall so thin you can hear your neighbor cry themselves to sleep. That's not housing, that's a slow motion Ponzi scheme with appliances. Meanwhile, every boomer is still sitting in a mortgage-free house worth $1.3 million, yelling, you millennials need to work harder, stop buying so much Starbucks, and cool it on the avocado toast. Work harder than what? 3 jobs, 1 side hustle? This isn't lazy. This is a system mugging you in broad daylight and then blaming you for having a black eye. You want to know when a city's in full-blown collapse? It's not when the windows are boarded up. It's when the people who keep the lights on, the nurses, the trades, the tech workers, the entrepreneurs, start quietly leaving. It's when ambition turns into adaptation. It's when dream big gets replaced with try not to drown. I've been on 3 listing appointments this month where the seller opened the convo with this: can you get me out before the crash? That's not fear, that's clarity. They see the writing on the wall. They don't care if rates drop next year. They don't want to be in the blast zone. The Canadian dream didn't just die, it was euthanized by bureaucracy, by incompetence, by a culture that punishes productivity and worships stability like it's some kind of moral high ground. Let's zoom out here, because this isn't just Hamilton where I live. This is Vancouver, where people are renting out apartments for $2,700 a month and pretending they love the rain. It's Toronto, where a 1-bedroom will go for $3,000 and your bedroom window faces a brick wall. It's Calgary, where prices exploded on FOMO, and now sellers are wondering if the boom was just a sugar rush. This is Canada, a place where middle-class dreams go to get euthanized. And the new spin from Ottawa? Just wait, it'll even out. Long-term, we're still strong. Sure, just ignore the record insolvencies, ignore the empty storefronts, ignore the homelessness, ignore the families cashing out RSPs just to make their rent payment. The long-term doesn't matter when the short-term breaks you, and that's what's happening. Look at your neighbors, the ones who refinanced at the top. Took out a HELOC, money to do the kitchen, the deck, and maybe buy a pre-construction assignment. Now they're stuck with a $3,200 payment and a house that's worth less than their mortgage. They don't need a realtor, they need a paramedic. And here's the twist that no one sees coming. Collapses don't look like bombs. They look like quiet desperation. Like 5-year-olds skipping breakfast because groceries didn't make the budget. Like landlords offering 2 months free and still getting ghosted. Like businesses dying in silence while the city celebrates another ribbon-cutting ceremony for a dog park. This isn't a conspiracy. This is cause and effect. And while we're at it, let's bury this lie once and for all. Real estate always goes up. That phrase is the financial equivalent of let's just be friends. It sounds nice right up until you're left holding the bag, alone, broke, and confused. We're already down 20-25% in some markets, and that's with most people still pretending it's just a phase. Imagine what happens when denial turns into acceptance. Listen, you don't need to panic, you need to pivot. This isn't a call to flee, this is a call to wake up. Canada isn't doomed, but it's declining. And if you don't make a move soon, you're not just staying behind, you're volunteering to drown. I'm not telling you what to do, I'm telling you what's already happening. Your city's not getting cheaper, your life's not getting easier, and the people who figured that out early, they're either gone or they adjusted. Portugal, Florida, Mexico, East Coast. Gone not in fear, in freedom. You can love your country and still walk away from its mess. You can believe in Canada and still say, this isn't working for me anymore. Because loyalty to a broken system is just a slower way to drown. So if you're still watching this and you're still thinking maybe it will get better, ask yourself this: what if it doesn't? What if it's just the new normal? What if 5 years from now, you're still in the same old house paying 40% more for everything else with 40% less future? What are you waiting for? Hope is not a strategy. If you live in the greater Golden Horseshoe and you plan on making a move, grab my seller guide and book a call. Your home on 100,000 screens, 14 days or less. Aggressive, targeted, guaranteed. Because in this market, speed is safety and attention closes deals, not a crusty clipboard and a half-eaten cookie at your open house. You can be nostalgic or you can be free, but you can't be both.